But think about the pressures, and you've created this great show, and even Game of Thrones was like that too. And then all of a sudden, you've got all these people, and now how is that stifling your creativity? Because all of a sudden, you've got millions and millions of people waiting for this, and you're like, oh, and that probably puts the weight on you, and you're just like, oh, wow. And that probably does hurt your creativity if you can't handle that kind of pressure. And I think Seinfeld,
Yeah.
I think the way people said that, I think that the end of that show has actually gotten more praise the longer it's been since it ended. Like when it first ended in 98, people were like, oh, that was awful. That was awful. But as it's gone on, people are kind of like, okay, well, I mean, what really more could they have done? They wanted an episode about nothing again to end it all. But instead, Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld made a show um, about something, but brought all these characters back, which I thought was pretty clever. They wanted to find a way to bring those characters back and to make them out look like
Yeah.
these kind of, bad people that these characters really were in real life. Um, so it is interesting of how much of that pressure can get to you. You think about artists on deadlines. You've got to get the CD out by this time. You still got two more songs. Where are those songs? Like all of that shit's got to be. And then you could say, oh, maybe this is where I turn to drugs. And this is how we correlate and relate everything together, is where like you get that pressure. Like at first you find the creativity, you make that creativity, people buy that creativity, and you become big off that creativity. And now all of a sudden you've got to be even better. You got to surprise them. You got to go out there and do stuff. And I don't think there's too many people that can go out there and do that. I do think there's people that just don't care about pressure, that can just do it. That you see that a lot in the sports world, but you see that a lot. And I'm going to bring Eminem up again. I feel like every time he brings something new, a new CD out, and people are like, oh, Eminem, Eminem, there's not very many people who are like, oh, that sucked. Usually it's like, wow, this guy's still doing it in his mid 50s, and he's got, these double, triple entendres he's laying down that in Eminem is one of those few artists where you got to listen to you can literally listen to the same song 10 times and find something new, probably way even more than that, and find something new in the song that you
Yeah.
didn't catch the first or the second or the third time.
Yeah. That's a great point. Uh, Talking about all man, that pressure, that follow up pressure, especially when there's so many people watching, that's something that it feels like it's one of those like first world problems. You know what I mean, quote unquote, where you want to have that. Like I hope to be so successful in a creative endeavor one day that I have the issue of how do I follow this up, right? Like I hope I have a music album where where it's a huge hit, and now I'm like I don't know how to make a second album that's better than that one that I just put out. But I know it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of anxiety, it's a lot of and it feels like a big problem. But it's funny that before you get to that point, that's the kind of problem that you hope that you get to deal with someday. But it also ties in to earlier you talked about not knowing how to start and how to end
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
often. And you can see this is a universal problem because the thing about these shows is you can start them kind of okay. You have to start it good enough to not get canceled. But a lot of starts on these famous shows are not like the start to Game of Thrones is not
It's
very,
slow.
it's not the best
Yeah, it's
part.
slow.
Yeah, it's slow. It doesn't immediately drag you in. I just started watching, there's like this YouTube channel. There's all these YouTube channels where you like watch people watch movies. And I've gotten into this
Right, right.
recently because um, you sort of get to experience a movie again through like the eyes of somebody
Right.
else. And you get to sort of rewatch the movie, but it's condensed down to like a half hour. So you get to enjoy the movie. All the best parts are already clipped in. All the fluff is taken out. And so I've gotten into these, but uh, this you can sort of see what's the point I'm making. So one of the people that I'm watching, they started watching Game of Thrones recently, and they haven't seen it before. And and seeing them go through the first couple episodes, I can sort of see where it's not hooking them. But then by the time they're getting to like episode 4, 5, 6, I can see them being just like completely hook, line, and sinker into Game of Thrones. And then I'm just thinking like, I wonder what's going to happen when they get to episode or season 8, right?
Right.
But um, but the Seinfeld thing, And other things like The Sopranos is famous for having this like ambiguous
Right.
ending that people aren't sure if they like or
Right.
not.
Right.
And it just goes to
By
the
the way,
point
one
where
of
these are these.
the one of probably one another one of the greatest shows ever, The Sopranos.
The
Yeah.
Sopranos, yeah, yep. And even the greatest artists and creators in the world aren't really always sure how to end.